Hey everybody, so I'm going to be explaining to you how you can do light painting even with a phone. So to be able to do that, there's a few things you're going to need. First of which, you're going to need uh, some way to stabilize the camera. So what I've have over here are some examples of how you could do that. Obviously, if you happen to have a tripod with a phone holder, that's going to be a great way to do it. Otherwise, if you just use a pair of books, you could stabilize your device within the books. So I've got the camera clearly visible on top here, and I've got the back of the screen set up so that way I could actually, you know, operate the camera on the device. So to make light painting happen, you also need to have some way of making light. So besides, a flashlight or something like that, you could really use anything that can make light to be able to do light painting. So the last thing that you're going to need is a dark place in order to light paint. So you can do that outside at night. You can use a room, even if it has a window, if it's dark outside, or you can find a room that doesn't have any light at all, and that's going to be a great thing to use to be able to do light painting. So I'm going to go to a dark room that I have in my house, and I'm going to do some light painting here and show you how it's done. So to do light painting, you're not going to be able to use the regular app that we would normally use, which is Lightroom with the camera controls. That can only go down so slow on the shutter speed. So if I have that set up and I try to go with the lowest shutter speed possible, it's just 1/4 of a second. That's not really going to give us a lot of time to be able to take our picture. So instead of using that app, you need to have an app like ProCam that allows you to slow the shutter speed down even more. So that's why I'm not requiring you to do this challenge for the shutter speed project, because you would need to have an app like this to be able to do it. You can certainly use a normal camera too if you have the ability to change the shutter speed on that. So let's say you did spend the $6 to purchase the ProCam app. You'd want to change from the normal photo mode. So this is what the normal photo mode looks like. Instead, you want to go to slow shutter. So here you can choose low light, light trail, or motion blur. I would suggest using light trail. And why don't you just start with something like 8 seconds. The other thing that would be helpful for you to do is to change it so that your camera takes a little while to start. So you can set it to be 30 seconds, 5 seconds, is what I'm going to use. So that'll give me some time to get into place to be able to take my picture. So you can start with 8 seconds, but go slower from there if you want. I'm going to flip the lights off in the room here, and I'm going to be using a lower light flashlight to take this picture. The cool thing about this is that as you begin to take your picture, you can see the picture start to go as you're taking it. So I'm just going to shine the light around here. I'm going to do some up close light and some farther away, but I'm facing the light towards the camera. So after the picture is done, you can open up the photo to see how it looks. If it looks a little bit too bright, which in this case it's way too bright in that area that's right in the middle of the frame, you can either use a lower amount of light, so not as bright of a light that you're light painting with, or you can just not stay in the same spot for as long. So for example, or I can even do this. So instead of doing for 8 seconds, maybe I just do a 4-second picture. So I'll take another shot here. I'm just going to do really fast light. It's all around rather than being in a little spot here. We'll see how that picture looks. That right there looks a lot more interesting. It doesn't have as much brightness right in the middle, and that would be a good photo. If you have other ways to create light for light painting, you can do some really cool stuff too. So I'm going to do a 15-second picture here, and I'm going to use a laser pointer and light paint with that. And I've got the timer mode set up here, so that way I can have the camera start without me hitting the camera. And you'll see the laser pointer starting to create light all around in the frame here. If I hold it in one spot too long, it's going to be something that It gets really, really too bright in that one little area. So here's how that photo turned out. Pretty cool. Right, there's lots of things you can do with light painting. One of the examples that I have on the project sheet is having somebody stand in front of the camera and light paint behind them, and you can create a silhouette of that person. You can do that in a lot of different ways, but this is how you do the basic concept. Feel free to try other things out with the camera. This is a pretty complicated camera app, so there's lots of things you can do. And there's even tutorials on their website, so ProCam 7. Just do a Google search for that, and you can change some of the things based on the tutorial to get a different look in the photo.